What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we are doing number 4 out of my 5 pen series of top 5 pens at such and such price. Today is high-end pens, so anything over $500. And when I say anything over, I don't mean like millions. That's coming next. This is really anything over 500. So clearly I'm only going to mention 5. There are thousands upon thousands of pens that you can get for over $500. To me, in my mind, anything over $500 is a high-end pen. It is a pen range or a price range that most people probably would not even dream or ever want to go into, because I mean, it's a lot of money for a pen, but I think it's pretty cool to talk about. I think it's pretty interesting, and they get pretty. So jumping right in, everyone is going to probably shout it out in the comments, is Mont Blanc 146 or 149. Both of them are over $500. Both of them look the same pretty much. One of them's obviously much bigger. I have done a full review of the Mont Blanc 149. I have yet to post, but have filmed a review of this pen here, which happens to be the latest. I'm gonna butcher this. I'm not French, so I'm just gonna say it with the Canadian accent. So I'm sorry, it's gonna hurt your ears. But the Mont Blanc Petit Prince fountain pen. This one happens to be the Aviator model, but for the sake of this video, it is the exact same size as a 146. The 149 is much bigger. If you've ever used a Jinhao 159, then that is pretty much the same size as a 149. So definitely check that out. These pens write really well. They're what Mont Blanc calls precious resin fountain pens. They all are piston fill, and they do have an ink window to see what you've got left. They fit really nicely in my hand. This specific model has metal on the end of this pen and on the top of here. The actual 146 will not have that. It will just all be resin. You can get gold trim, silver or platinum trim, or rose gold trim as well. All of them are different price points. So depending on if you want like a basic 146 up to a 149, you're going to be looking about $700 to about $935 US, depending on which one you're going. Again, it's US, it's retail pricing. You can find deals here or there. Mont Blanc is kind of a hot topic issue for the fountain pen community, in the sense of some swear by it. You have to have it, you got to try it. It's a staple. Some say that it's overpriced, which I kind of happen to agree with, but some also say that it's a staple for a reason. It's been around forever for a reason. They are very reliable writers. I've never really had an issue with it. I have heard some people have great experiences with their customer service, some don't. I personally have never had to deal with their customer service, so I can't speak to it, but they do have a base that you can go off of. So as far as their pens go, I've had good experiences with them. Mont Blanc 149 is too big for me, so I prefer the 146 size, but I still think that they're great pens. Something that I also think is a great pen, and it is battling constantly for being my absolute favorite pen. Those of you who've been following me for a while, you might know what is my favorite fountain pen, and that is the Aurora Optima. This is going to be the cheapest pen in this category at $535. You can get an Optima cheaper than that, but this specifically is the Lloyd version. So you can get ones that are made completely of resin, that are just like solid black and things like that for cheaper. But the material in the Lloyd is just stunning. It is one that you cannot capture well enough. The chatoyance in the material, the feel the material has, the way that it catches the light in your eye is just, it's unparalleled. It is unlike no other, and I just love it. The nibs are really, really great. This one specifically happens to be a stub. They're all decently wet, like the Pelican M600 in my previous video that I mentioned. It is a bit harder, so you're not really going to get much line variation out of it, but they're very solid writers. They're very reliable writers. Also, like what I was saying in the previous video about the Aurora 88, the Aurora pens have a unique filling mechanism that allows you to get every single drop out of the body of the pen, so that you can use up all of your ink, which is really handy, especially if you're using samples and you really want to use that whole sample. The pens are just beautiful. They're a little bit smaller than, you know, most pens. So compared to the Mont Blanc 146, it's definitely a lot shorter. As far as girth goes, it's the same. So like the actual grip size still feels really nice. It's just a little bit shorter in your hand, but you can post it, and then it fits just well. I really love it. It is my favorite pen. Yeah, I can't recommend this one enough. So that 100% has to be in my collection. Another one that is in my collection, which I've just recently done a review of as well, and every pen that I've done a review I will put in the iCard, so you can check out further details about it, is the Visconti Homo Sapiens Midnight in Florence. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the Midnight in Florence, but I have priced it the way that I have. So this is $920 US, because I prefer the like resin pens or the acrylic ones that they have, anything like that, over the lava versions, only because the lava versions, you have to be very careful with the grip section when you're dipping the pen in to ink it up, because the ink soaks into the pen. Lava is very porous, and it does stain the grip section. So I much prefer these. I like the fact that you can see your ink in this. So this one happens to be inked up now. I like that you can see your ink, whereas in the lava ones you can't. And these ones just to me feel a lot better. The hook lock system is much smoother on these, because with the lava, the material can catch on itself a little bit, which I don't particularly like. It does have the Visconti My Pen system, so you can change that over if you want to as well, to vacuum filled pen, so when you ink it up you won't have to ink it up again for quite some time, and much like the Lloyd on the Aurora Optima, the depth to material and the shimmer and the sheen and just like the amount of holy crap, I can stare at this forever that comes with this pen is really great. It's a little on the heavier side, but you really won't be posting this pen. You could, but it doesn't make sense to. It fits really, really well. It's definitely on the pricier side. I have a fine nib. I absolutely love the way that this writes. It writes like a fire hose, which for me is perfect to my style. I have heard that, you know, the Visconti can sometimes suffer with a little bit of inconsistency with the way that it writes, but this one writes like a dream. If you are going to purchase this one because of that slight inconsistency with their nibs, I would recommend purchasing it from a retailer that you trust, so that if there is any problems, you can reach out to them and then they can kind of like help you out. So definitely recommend that. And then to continue on, another flagship pen is the Pelican M1000. So it's going to look similar to the one that I showed you in the previous video to this, but it's going to be much, much bigger. So this is the M600, so it's two steps down from the M1000. I don't personally own the M1000, but I have used one, and it is a dream. A dream. The M1000 is the only nib out of the Suveron series that I have used that has any bounce or give to the nib. So any of the like Pelican M400, 600, 800, all of their nibs have been really stiff, but the M1000 has a good amount of bounce, probably because the nib is much bigger, so therefore the tines are longer, and usually when you have longer tines, it allows for a little bit more give to sort of absorb any of the shock while you're writing. So it gives you a very pleasant writing experience. It's a pretty nice wet writer. For the price point, it's about $695 US. That said, again, with any retail pricing, you can shop around for some deals and you can find it much cheaper. They typically only come in black or green. So black is a solid finish, the green striped version, but they do occasionally have some special editions come out. But of course that's gonna jack up the price. But for the writing experience, I would say, you know, if you got the funds, do it. It's beautiful. Pelican is a really reliable writer, and you can't go wrong with it. I've had, how many? 1, 2, 3, including ones that I've owned and used from other people. I think I'm up to about 8 Pelican pens now, and I have loved them all. I've never had a serious problem with any of them. There's one M800, an all orange version, that I didn't quite like as much, only because it was slightly on the drier side, but every other pen has been stellar. And being slightly on the drier side is not a problem. Most people actually prefer that. I prefer my pens much, much wetter. Okay, so now that brings us to the final one. This I do not have because I don't have the money. But I had the awesome experience to try it out once. And I wish I had taken footage of it, because this was a couple years ago now. I wish I had taken footage of it. It was when it just came out, and it was absolutely mind-blowing to me. It was the Nakiya dorsal fin. The one that I used only had one fin, but now they've come out with version 2, which is the one that I'm going to talk about, which is now where it has 2 dorsal fins. And you can get many, many different finishes. This is the Urushi lacquered fountain pen, which I recommend to anyone, the ability to try out a Urushi pen. You wouldn't think it would make a big difference when you're holding it compared to resin, but you really do feel a difference, especially the longer you use it. You know, if you have like a half hour, 45-minute like journal session or something like that, it just warms up so nicely to your hand. The dorsal fin ones, especially version 2, is pretty expensive. It's the most expensive pen in the list, and it's quite a jump from anything else. You're looking at about $1,500 US, but it is beautiful, and the writing experience that I had was stellar. Nakiya is definitely a sought after brand. It's not one that I would say everyone talks about, but I think those that have one or those that have used one never forget it. And so I think for that sake, it is a little bit underrated. You know, if I were to pin one of those against a Mont Blanc, for example, I would choose the Nakiya every time. I still think the Mont Blanc is fabulous. That's why it's in this top 5. But I think it's definitely a little bit underrated. It is beautiful. It fits so nicely in pretty much everyone's hand. It's meant to do that. It's a little bit on the larger side. I think the double dorsal fin is cool, but even if you only get the one, it's still cool. The benefit to that is that there's no clip on this pen, so it acts as its own roll stopper, which is really nice as well, because then you don't have to purchase an additional one to get put on there, and or a pen pillow, or have it roll off a desk or whatever. So I really, really would recommend that one as well. So those are my 5 in the over $500 high-end range. I'm curious though, what would you put in that range? It could be exactly $500. It could be $1,500. Doesn't matter, as long as it's high end and it's over 500. Let me know what you would think. So leave a comment in the comment section below. Guys, thank you for watching this series. It's been really, really fun. The next one that's coming out is the absurd category. And by absurd, I mean $1 million plus absurd fountain pen category. That one's just gonna be for fun. So thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet done so already. Check out my Instagram, which is just pens and tea. I post there pretty regularly. Hit the like button if you haven't done so. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye.